And now, live from Studio 38 in the world's Roundup City, this is the Great American Podcast. Here's your host, Butch Thurman.
Fred Whitfield will join us today on the program. He's an 8-time world champion, and it's good to have you back on the show. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to be back.
Well, it was sure good to see you at Pendleton last year. You were inducted into the Pendleton Round-Up Hall of Fame. We had a chance to chat, and I know that was a rodeo that was always pretty good to you. Tell us about being inducted to that famous Rodeos Hall of Fame.
Well, it's always good to go back to Pendleton. You know, Pendleton and I have a huge history, and I was just tickled to death to be invited back up there and inducted into their Hall of Fame. You know, I told you a long time ago, Butch, that when I first showed up at that rodeo as a young kid, my rookie year, I was kind of petrified after I seen a few accidents out there on the grass. But over the years, after being up there so many times, and with all the implications on the line that there was, that, you know, coming into the fall or the rodeo year and winning world titles and those championships helped boosted me to those world titles, the money and stuff that I won at Pendleton, and which I got 3 saddles from there, I believe. And so all of that stuff was really exciting. You know, I got to go back and see a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a lot of years, and I had probably one of the best times I've had in my life.
Yeah. Fred Whitfield is our guest today on the program, an 8-time world champion. Let's talk about the tie-down ropers over the years. You know, we talk about who stands out. I always think of Dean Oliver and Joe Beaver, Cody Ole, Trevor Brazil, and yourself. Talk about that competition over the years and some of the better tie-down ropers in the world.
Well, it started out, I guess, my rookie year was 1990, and so Joe had been in, I guess, about 85. He had been in close to 7 years. Mm-hmm. Something like that, and so, you know, I grew up around Joe quite a bit, and I got to meet Roy at a very early age, and so those guys were the bar whenever I started my professional career. So those are the guys that you wanted to beat, you know, the guys that you grew up idolizing, and then they're right in front of you, and they're kind of in your path to the glory that you're trying to succeed or win world titles.
Talking with Fred Whitfield today on the program, an 8-time world champion. Who do you like today? The young guns, these young kids coming up. There's some pretty good calf ropers out there. Well,
there's a really, really tough pool of guys right now. I mean, we could go down the list. Of course, there's Shad Mayfield, there's Haven Majid, Riley Webb, who won the world last year and had a phenomenal year. John Douch, we got to throw him in there. I guess the Harris boys, and then there's just a lot of young talent, and we're beginning to see a turnover. You know what I mean? It's like there's a younger group coming in, and they're weeding older guys right on out. So that's basically the way it happens in the sport. You know, every year a few guys go away and new guys come in, and so we're seeing a turnover right now in the calf roping. And so I feel like the calf roping is really well represented today. You know, and I think things have changed a little bit, but the sport's growing fast and furious, and so it's part of it.
Do you keep track of the horses these guys ride, and who has some of the better horses out there?
I do. You know, I failed to mention Caleb Smith's name in that group just a second ago, and I guess he's won 4 world titles in the last 6-7 years. Mm-hmm. And so he's a guy that's definitely, you know, I think he recently retired, but I mean that horse Pockets he's had. That gray horse that Hunter Heron rides is really good. Shad's got a couple of good horses now. Riley recently purchased some good ones through that Lane Livingston, I believe, is where his horses come from. And so the number one issue with me is when I rodeoed, I always had good horses, and I always thought that was an advantage. So to the younger guys that are rodeoing today, if you've got, you know, equally as good a horse as Shad or Riley or Ty Harris, or any of those young guys, then, you've got a chance to get ahead of them, so to speak. And so not all the talent is balanced in today's calf roping. There's some guys that are good at this and some guys that are good at that. And so if you've got them out-mounted, half the battle's won already, in my opinion.
We're talking with Fred Whitfield today, the 8-time world champion, and he's been selected as one of the coaches for Kid Rock's Rockin' Rodeo coming up in May at Arlington Stadium. This is going to be exciting, Fred. It's an interesting format, the team-style format. Tell us how you feel about being one of the coaches and getting involved with this.
It is team-style rodeo, and I personally think we're long overdue for something like this. And the day I got the phone call, it's been about 3 months ago now, that Sean Gleason called me and asked me if I wanted to be involved, and I said most definitely. And he said, we'll be back in touch with you in the coming weeks. And I hung up the phone, and I was tickled pink to finally come back to the sport in some capacity. And so I like the format. It's kind of head-to-head, but it's also the team concept. It's two guys running a calf at the same time, side by side in arenas. It's two barrel racers running the same pattern, and with some distance in between the third barrel. There's two bareback riders, there's two saddle bronc riders, and a set of team ropers going. And so red light, green light, so to speak, just like drag racing. And so it's going to be exciting, and we're adding a whole new twist to it. And we're going to have replay and challenge flags, something that we've needed in the sport for a long time. And so from that aspect of it, I'm looking forward. Can't wait to get my players drafted and get this thing off the ground. We're ready.
All right, Fred. It's such a pleasure to have you back on the program. Thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
8-time world champion Fred Whitfield. Well, let's take a break. We've got plenty more coming up on today's program. News and notes and rodeo highlights right after this on the Great American Podcast.
For the free spirits drawn by the call of the West, only one brand is worthy of coming along for the ride: Wrangler. It's worn by those who round up old friends and blaze new trails, and by those who know that going off the beaten path is often pretty hard to beat. Because when you ride in Wrangler, you're always ready to saddle up for another adventure. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
More from Studio 38 and today's Great American Podcast with Butch Thurman.
The professional bull riders stopped in Billings, Montana over the weekend, and your winner, Brazil's Eduardo Aparecido.
We have a new leader in Montana. You can bet Aparecido is not going to challenge the contact leaving the chutes, because that's set flying wired up into a right-hand spin, and Eduardo was more than happy with that direction. 89 1/4.
Really great ride right here by Eduardo, and a great job of staying focused when this bull hits a chute right here. He doesn't panic, and he doesn't clamp down. He does exactly what he needs to do, kicks loose, gets right back to the center of this bull, and makes it happen.
Craig Hummer, Cooper Davis with the winning call on CBS Sports. Aparecido, 263 total points, $58,000. He jumps to second place in this week's PBR World Standings. Wyatt Rogers would finish second. The Professional Bull Riders Tour from Billings, Montana. Bareback rider Clayton Bigelow was a big winner over the weekend, cashing in for nearly $9,200 at Oakdale, California, and Logandale, Nevada. At Logandale, he earned $7,300 on a Sankey Pro Rodeo horse. Here's the action from the Cowboy Channel.
On a horse called Stiletto. They are winning this rodeo on this horse's full sibling in the bronc riding. Can we make it 2 for 2? That guy's creeping up on the $2 million mark. He won over $100,000 at last year's National Finals Rodeo. See if we can add to his season total. How about 88.5 for Bigelow?
Other winners at Logandale include Ty Erickson in the bulldogging, Brenton Hall and Caden Profiley in team roping. Regan Smith wins the bronc riding. Over in the calf roping, it's Marty Yates. Michaela Beaujolais wins the breakaway roping. Emily Beisel in barrel racing, and it's Jake Lockwood in the bull riding. Clark County Fair and Rodeo, Logandale, Nevada. And that'll wrap up our program for this week. Once again, a big thank you to Fred Whitfield, your 8-time world champion, joining us earlier in the program. We'll be back again next week here on the Great American Podcast. I'm Butch Thurman.